Thought I would take a moment and share my thoughts on the subject of minimum wage. In the news recently, as of this recording, there's talk of California raising their minimum wage, and nationally, whenever something like that happens, there's people who feel that minimum wage should be increased. Uh, I have certain opinions about it, and there's certain viewpoints that I have. I believe my viewpoints are somewhat simplistic and personal. But I can tell you, as a manager now, if I were to bring a person on, what I can afford to pay a person has to do with how much money my department is bringing in. And there's going to have to be a certain amount of talent that I'm going to have to get for that money. Otherwise, I won't be able to maintain the business, and that's my job, is to maintain the business. So to have some sort of a wage level mandated on me, I don't know. I can't run a business when somebody outside of that is able to mandate certain criteria that are normally up to me. Are they going to decrease the amount that I have to pay for products? Are they going to go ahead and increase the amount that customers will be willing to pay for me to conduct my business? That's the way that I see it. And I'm not saying that as any disrespect to people that are trying to work, who are working at a minimum wage level or whatever, but I'm just stating the facts, the actual economics of the business. Now, on the flip side of that coin, there are plenty of things that I would like to know more about because, like what it's been said in other videos, there are many, many moving parts to the economy, and it is a hybrid type of economy. And what what ends up being the case is an increase of minimum wage, while it would crush a small business guy like me, actually works on the whole for whatever motivation it is or whatever goal on a grander scheme that's going on. Like, they can prove, okay, look, the gross, what is it? The consumer price index is positively affected. For a short time, people are able to afford more things on the consumer price index, which is the basket of goods that people are able to afford. Because the idea behind it, in my understanding, is that the bulk of the wage earners in the United States already earn more than minimum wage. So the minimum wage people, in theory, is such a small percentage that it doesn't affect the consumer price index. So they are able to have an increase in purchasing power. And I understand the economics of that as well. However, this is the point of my video. I'm curious. I can't recall the last job I had that I was paid minimum wage was when I was 19 years old. So I was 19 years old for my last minimum wage job, and from then on, from the age of 19, I had worked and developed the skills and sought after jobs that paid me more than that. So I don't necessarily, other than being a manager, have a dog in the fight. And I'm also curious about the other parties, like the people who argue against it. Some of them don't even own businesses. Some of them aren't even managers, and they're strong pundits against it, or they even work for another company as just a blue collar guy. Um, that's the one hand. Now, people that have formerly owned a business, just like my points that I made earlier, I think there's validity in listening to the economics of these small businesses, which comprise a large percentage of employment in this country. Uh, there's other factors that are keeping us from being able to hire people right now. It's very, very expensive to hire somebody, between the risk of unemployment, which you can't get away from having to pay unemployment after a person leaves, either whether they're fired, written up, or they quit, the way that the laws are right now, you can't get away from having to cover their unemployment. It's insanity, and it's aggravating that that it's this way right now, and it's indeed not fair that people who don't merit the benefits that policies like unemployment and health insurance and things like that, the people that those are intended for aren't going to be able to in the long run be able to get them because of the people who don't merit them stealing them by these poor policies handed down from above by lawmakers who have never owned a business, or some of them have never even worked in their whole lives. So, so I'm really not sure. The other side of that coin is the people that argue for a larger minimum wage. Are these people currently working minimum wage? Are these people currently unemployed? Are these people who want to hire minimum wage, are they business owners? Well, if they are business owners, why don't you fucking pay your own people more? Okay? And don't worry about what I'm doing with my business. Which, by the way, as an aside, I'm not interested in having a minimum wage person work the counter for me. That's not the person that I want to take on. But if you want to pay your people more, go ahead and pay your people more. That's fine. And you'll probably get more talented people. How about that? Own your own business and pay your people more than what I pay them, and you will be able to take my talented people if I don't merit their employment. That's a much more effective and positive approach to business than you trying to loot my company when it's a very sophomoric and bleeding heart point of view. It's not how it's not how the auction process can work in the long run, and it'll be gutted from the inside if we're not careful. I do care about people. I don't want to see people starve. I don't want to see people suffer. But in order to conduct effective business, in the long run, the product or service that you need to offer needs to be welcomed by the public. It's got to be something that people want. And in order to provide people with something that they want, with something that the community wants, is going to require a talent and a certain type of employee. And the money will follow in certain circumstances, and you need to give the businesses that are willing to pay people more the slack to do so. Then we'll be able to take the people away from Walmart. We'll be able to take the people away from these big box stores that are paying all their people minimum wage, which isn't a living wage, and they end up being a large employer requiring government subsidies. So in a way, we're using our tax dollars as our discount for Walmart and end up paying more. But in the meantime, a guy like me who's trying to gather talented people to bring an extraordinary level of service is just getting crushed under the customer base that's just looking to go one block down to save a couple of bucks. Well, those are my opinions. Definitely have a lot to learn, and I'm all ears. I'm not sure how the comment responses will come through, but I'll keep my eye out. I'll see y'all later. Thank you for listening.